replay buffer. Just trying to make good habits here. And I'm putting these things out there because I like to give my students like a choice. Like, not say we're doing this, and this, and we're doing it in this order or whatever. I'm like, what do you want to do? You know, and if there's some way that we can change how we're doing our stuff to make it more fun and more engaging, I'm not stuck on a particular schedule, right? Now, just as a quick overview of everything that the scope of this course or whatever was doing is we set up Windows, we set up virtual machines on Windows. Right? In the virtual machines, we installed game engines like what we've installed so far is the Roblox Studio and Roblox, of course, and we installed the Unreal Engine 5, which requires 60 gigabytes, and it kind of requires, at a minimum, it will run on my machine, for example, which is an i5-4590 with 16 gigs of memory, which is not a super high-end machine. But it's got an MSI half-height graphics card with a GTX 1050 Ti card in it. And it can run that level of Unreal Engine, which is of interest. Okay, so after Roblox, we had virtual machines, first we had operating system, install operating system on virtual machine, install Unreal Engine on virtual machine, and do like one thing we covered was a lot of portables installations of utilities, right? Utilities that you always use. I conducted training on how to get all your portables installed, and then you can put all your portable software on a thumb drive and carry it around on your keychain. And anytime you sit down at a computer, you have an array of all the tools that you need on your thumb drive or on your portable drive, whatever, with you to make your computer more functional on the go. Now we can approach that issue, the portability issue, as well with Blender. There are various versions of Blender that are portable. Now, after Unreal Engine, one of the things we could do, and one of the things we could do today, is install the Unity Hub. Unity is also, for example, one thing that I left out is a thing that we covered already. Of what we covered OBS Studio installation, how to set up OBS Studio for streaming, how to use OBS virtual cameras, how to use the replay buffer. And it was kind of a travesty, but we also did projectors, and I'm going to go back to projectors again. Then, on top of that, we learned about the application VRoid Studio, which is an avatar creation software package. And we created avatars, participants in the class that were coming on at that time. We created avatars in VRoid Studio, and then we loaded the avatars into a Unity-based game called Virtual Magic Mirror. Now, a lot of people would say Virtual Magic Mirror is not a game. It's sort of like a utility or a streaming tool, which is true. But in the sense that it's built on a game engine, yeah, it's sort of a game, and it sort of covers some important elements of a lot of different games that run on Unity. You can sort of see them in action. All right, I wish I could hear from my brother. All right, so I talked on Opera GX about Force Dark Pages, which I really recommend anybody. You can do this with flags on Chrome, where you put http://flags, and you will also get a beta Force Dark Pages. But if you have 2 or 3 HD monitors, opening up a Google Doc or whatever on a white it's blinding, right? It really hurts your eyes. So this 4-stroke pages is pretty important.
Can you hear me now, David?
Yes, I certainly can.
Yeah, I had to go on my audio. I tried to install the Droid whatever stuff, and long and the short of it's like the microphone was defaulted into the Droid Cam audio, but for some reason I can't get the client or whatever it is supposed to load into OBS. I can't get that to work.
Okay, so one of the things you may have run into, I mean, some in the olden days we had to copy the Droid Cam plugin into the plugins folder, but there's actually an exe installer now for that, and I'm wondering if you may have hit the pitfall of. And this is the last thing this was an example of like the way I like to teach is, Barry, you were asking, can I make on OBS, can I make my phone into a webcam? So I was like, yeah. And I knew it could be done with Droid Cam, but I hadn't done it in a while, right? So I like that kind of stuff because it takes the class in a really practical direction where the people that are participating are interested and engaged, right? So the really cool thing that I discovered and I want to study it more is that Video Ninja. So I was like, well, I'll prepare for Droid Cam tomorrow and get it up and running, and then I'll search on Google for alternatives to Droid Cam and see if I can find something interesting that's new. And to me, I think, and this goes out to you, Ken. I know what Barry was saying, I was talking about latency in our testing and how I could see like there was a 3-second delay or whatever. I think it's worth like doing an OBS multi-person with people. You need two things. You need a powerful computer, decently powerful computer, and high bandwidth. So you got a fast 1,000 up, 1,000 down internet connection or something like that. And then it would be interesting to test that again. But having heard what you said, did you have an answer for me? Did you try to copy the plugin to the plugin folder, or did you run an executable to install it?
I ran an executable.
And so you're saying you ran the executable, and it didn't, when you went to sources. Let me bring this up over here.
In other words, in my sources saying I don't have something that says Droid Cam.
Right. So when you right click and go not right click, but hit the plus sign, right, like down here in the bottom of sources, you hit the plus sign, and you do not see Droid Cam OBS.
Correct.
Here. All right, that's a problem.
During the installation, it comes up, says, quit, like Droid Cam, whatever, and something, and so anyway, it locks up on the install. I don't know how I can delete what's there, or if I do another install, it'll override it.
Yeah, I think you could probably do an install that would override it. Let me think for a second.
I did figure out, I wasn't getting the VLC video source.
Uh-huh.
And what I figured out is that I didn't have the 64-bit version of it. So once I installed the 64-bit version of VLC, it now shows up with the VLC source.
Good. And yeah, everything should eventually. Okay, Barry, you got a question?
Yeah, is it possible to make games with Blender?
Well, sure. The Blender is not in and of itself a game engine. At least last I checked. Let's because let me give you a quick history of Blender. Blender, like some other 3D software, was developed by a company And the story I'm about to tell is in the Blender documentation. You can read it. And it was developed specifically to make some commercials, some advertising, right? They wanted to make a certain kind of look or something. I would not say Blender is a game engine, but I don't know. Okay, let me go back to the story of what happened with Blender. The company, yeah, apparently there's a well, I don't know. Blender game engine lives. Okay, so there's story here, and I haven't been looking at Blender recently, and I'm going to get back into it. It says apparently there were some versions of Blender that had a game engine and it got removed. Right? You see, I searched for this: is Blender a game engine? And then the latest video says the Blender game engine lives again. So the answer probably to your question is yes. Is it something that you want to use? I'm not sure. To make a game, that probably depends on the kind of game that you want to make. But Blender, here's the story. The company made the software and they made their commercial. And they said, this thing is so good, we should try to sell it. So they tried to sell it the way 3D Studio Max and Maya and these other companies sell it. And this is, probably an unfair truncation of a big saga, but they flopped, right? They could not make it a commercial success, right? So it essentially died. They were like, well, that's the end of it. If we can't sell it, the investors were like, well, it's a flop. We're not going to put any more money into it. So Blender was essentially gone, right? But then all the people that worked on it said, hey, look, we all were involved in working on this thing. Could we, as a community, I think what happened is they did a fundraiser. They said, let's everybody who wants Blender to be free, make some donations and pay off these investors. And if they feel like, hey, we've kind of recouped our losses or something. I don't know all the details of it. But ultimately, that's how Blender became free. The company that's trying to sell it gave up on it. The investors gave up on it. And the development community got together, raised a little bit of money, and the money that they raised was to make it free. It's been cumbersome up until like a few years ago. About 5 years ago, they made I think around 2.8 or 2.9. It became a much more intuitive, icon-driven. A lot of these 3D gaming software, they have some kind of an artistic icon that gives you a hint of what it does. In the old days of Blender, there was nothing. You just had to learn the shortcuts. If you wanted to do something on Blender, there was like a keystroke that you would hit or a key sequence that you hit to make it happen. And for a lot of people, that was just like, they didn't want to do it. So we can look at Blender more. But listen, Barry, Blender, you can make a feature film with Blender. It's a serious 3D anime. In fact, there's some kind of dragon movie that was made 100% with Blender, where some dragon nest gets kicked over, and this little kid saves the baby dragon and raises it. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, it's a full yeah, it's amazing. So I think Blender is definitely, if nothing else, it's an important utility, right? Because when you're working with gaming assets, it's a free way to deal with conversions and moving things from different platforms. All right. Any more questions? Oh, he's sharing the screen.
But if you look at my thing on the Google Meet, you can see what I've done in Blender.
All right. Barry's sharing his Blender project. All right, and it looks cool. Is it animated at all?
No, but I have it set up to where I can move it.
Right. Yeah. So these tools that you've put in place or whatever allow you to apply animation to it. Now, I'll tell you an important thing. Can I give you a big word to learn? I'm going to put this big word in chat. It's called retargeting. Let's see, retargeting. All right, there are a lot of methods to do motion capture data for animation, right? So if you make a particular skeleton or something like that, you can take animation data that animates, like this. In your case, you have a bipedal figure. He has fingers. He's like a humanoid sort of biped.
Animatronic is what he is.
Okay. All right. So there are ways that you can take animation or animated bone systems, and you can retarget the bones to be controlled by another bone or skeleton set, and that can really accelerate what you're doing. This is really cool, Barry. Did you model it from scratch? Can you hear me? Did you model?
Well, I had a human model and I modeled it over the human model and got rid of the human model.
That's a
to
very
make things easier.
That's a very good approach. Animation is very labor intensive, and I tell you, if you get into it and you're into making game assets and stuff, always look for a shortcut or an easy way to do stuff, because that's in the movie studios. That's what they do. They have project managers when they go to make like a blockbuster movie or whatever. They look at whatever took the most time, and they try to eliminate that job by automating it some kind of way. An example of that is the development of facial motion capture. And now we have, I don't know if it works on Android, but there's an iPhone real-time facial motion capture program that allows you to do a performance that will control a Blender mesh in real time for acting. All right, now the thing I was going to say, this is what I was told by Garmin Herigstad, who was the CG supervisor at the last animation studio where I worked, or the effects studio where I worked. And Garmin worked on a lot of movies like Harry Potter and Benjamin Button and Green Lantern, and just too many to name. He really was. So he was senior technical director for the movie Beowulf. So he happened to know, and this is the story he told me, that the directors were working with the character animation team, and there was some kind, and I forget the exact moment, but there's kind of a moment of jealousy, a certain kind of expression that the directors wanted from the CG actress, that the character animators were trying to do. And I forget, he said it held up production for something like 2 weeks, just a few seconds, right, of acting, right? And so what happens on a big movie like that is that immediately raises a red flag with the project managers. They're like, all the people that took 2 weeks to get this acting, that's unacceptable. We need to eliminate that job, automate it some kind of way. And what emerged is what we have now is there's generally people can do. I'm pretty sure it's an iPhone thing. It's real-time facial motion capture, and what that means is now if you have Austin Powers or Reese Witherspoon or you know, somebody, a real famous actress, and you're doing a CG thing, her acting can be captured in real time, right, and applied directly to the model. Now, once again, the whole point of what I'm saying is that what you did by taking an existing humanoid model and using that as a guide to speed up your work, you should always do that in animation. Any kind of shortcut, anything that takes a long time, find a way to make it happen in a very short time, and you'll be more successful in game development and animation because it's very labor intensive. Okay, what's your question?
So, if you look at my Google Meet thing, I made the sun guy. I've been meaning to make the moon guy, and they released a new game, so now I have to make another one that I want to make. I'm pretty sure this is it.
Hold on, I need to. I've got something in front of this, and what I'd like is, do you have a Barry? Were you able to run a virtual camera? Because the thing is
Yeah.
you have something cool to show here, but I can't show it on the live stream if you're just showing it in the Google Meet. I'm trying to come up with a way. Well, let's see. I could do it this way. Look, how fast is your internet connection, by the way? Okay.
I don't know, but I've been meaning to get this guy. This is a combination of the two.
Okay, yeah, that's coming through. That's coming through really good. Okay, so it's passable. For a minute, it's kind of lagging now, but it's showing on the stream. So Barry has made on Blender. He's made some of these characters, and this here's the one that he made for Blender. Pretty good. Good job, Barry. Fantastic. But let me. Okay, I'm gonna. Well, actually, I'm gonna take a look here. See if I can go to OBS DroidCam and. This should be the page. Let me see if that's going across. Ken, is that where you went? Do you remember?
Okay, right. I mean, I googled it. It took me to a page, and
It should be. What is that? Is that notification or whatever? I'm not sure what it is. Let me check the time. Okay, we're doing good. Okay, so I searched for DroidCam OBS, and this is where I got it, dev47apps.com. Let me get my magnifier up.
Yeah, that looks familiar.
All right, so there's two things. You have the app, and this gets installed on your phone, right? And then you have the OBS plugin, and I'm clicking that, okay, and now I've got a download option. And I don't really need to save it because I did a clean install here. Now, Ken, what I want to suggest in your situation is that after the class, hey, Barry, you got some noise coming through there. Could you mute your mic? Let me see.
I'm trying to, but Opera won't open.
Okay. Well, try to be patient. All right, so I don't need to download this again because I have it downloaded, but I'm gonna see if I can just run it like I ran it. Let's see. Oh. look for. So I just clicked it. Okay, I'm looking to see. My screen has gone black. That's the thing. Do you want? They're getting ready to ask me, do I want to allow this to make changes to the device? So I'm trying to move this over to where it will show on the screen, but it doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to say yes. It gave me the prompt saying, do you want to let me make changes to your device? All right, so now let's see if I can get this up on the screen here and get my
It's there. I see it.
okay, I want to get my magnifier into position. So I'm going to move.
It is very logged in twice.
Well, when he does a screen share, he's going to have two. He's going to appear twice. One is
That's not it. My computer's not responding.
this is great. These guys
And
that
it
follow
shut
me
itself
with their,
down, but I guess it didn't close Opera, so I'm still logged in on my computer.
okay. All right. So
There we go.
All right. So here's the DroidCam OBS source plugin installation, and just for your legalese, whenever you see this, you just make the statement: "Actus meum veto factus, non est meus actus," which means the act done by me against my will is not my act. I do not agree, but you leave me no choice, and I didn't read it or agree to anything. Actus meum veto factus, non est meus actus. You're forcing me to do something I don't agree to do. All right, so here's where you could have a problem: is if you got your OBS Studio installation directory wrong. Now, DroidCam is looking for. I want to pay close attention to a little detail here. When we're on a very, very old computer, we'll see a folder called program files, and that doesn't really tell us much, right? Because everything was 32-bit. Now most everything is 64-bit. 32-bit stuff is legacy stuff. But there's enough of it out there that now on a standard Windows installation, you're going to have two directories. One's going to say program files x86, right? And program files x86 is a 32-bit directory. And if you installed 32-bit OBS, or if you installed into basically you can make a mistake. You need to make sure that your live OBS Studio directory is where your plugins are going. So this is a valid directory. Nowadays, when it says C program files and nothing but C program files, it means it's 64-bit. It means it's 64-bit.
Yeah,
right?
I'll go back and check that.
Yeah. All right. So, let's see. You wanna make sure that that's correct, and then you'll go next. And you want Android and Apple USB support, right? And it says error opening the file.
That's the error message I'm getting.
Okay. Well, that means, yeah. If you're, for me, when I see this, I know in this OBS plugin 64-bit directory, DroidCam OBS dynamic link library is already there. So I'm expecting, right, this. Now, this means that I've got OBS up and running, right? And that dynamic library is in use, and it's like I can't overwrite this file. Somebody else is using it. So what needs to happen is okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this. But you may I don't.
What I tried to do was close OBS and then try to install it without OBS running, but I still
Okay,
couldn't.
did you close OBS and then restart your computer?
No, I probably need to restart my computer.
Yeah. And this is just a thing I've noticed. Sometimes if something goes wrong with OBS or it doesn't have a good shutdown or whatever, there'll be something out there running some processes that are OBS processes, and that may cause problems with modifying stuff. Because they've got some processes like OBS64.exe, I think is one that I've seen out there running when OBS was not running, and really it should have shut down. But the simplest way, I mean, there's ways to go and hunt what the culprit is and find out exactly what happened. But the simplest way is let me just, and I want to put emphasis on what I'm about to show here. This is kind of an important. I'm gonna see if I can open Task Manager reasonably quickly. Let's see where it is. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. All right. Now, a couple of things I would like you guys to notice. I'm in Task Manager, so you can, if you don't have Task Manager pinned somewhere, there's a couple of ways you can get to it quick. One way is to hit the Windows key and then the X key, and then you'll see a menu of things that you need if you're technical sometimes, right? So let me just get over here and see if I can do a quick demo. I cannot, because I can't get that far over to show the menu. But if you go down to your search bar, if you're in your search bar at the bottom of the screen, and you type in there, or no, not type in the search bar, but if you're over there in that corner and you hit the Windows key followed by the X key, you're going to get a pop-up menu, which is going to have a bunch of little things that you need sometimes if you're a technical person. And two of the important ones are the Task Manager and the Device Manager. Okay, now, what is the point? Why did I come over here? In the Task Manager, there's a thing that says show more details right here. So if you have fewer details, that's all you get, right? I don't want that. I can't use that. Okay. You can do damage in here. So it's, some technical people don't want to show stuff too blatantly that people could be damaging computers with, especially if it's the tech people that have to come around and fix the stuff that the users broke. But when I hit more details, I've got things like performance. I can see the CPU utilization. I can see a graph of everything that's happening and so on. Okay, app history, what's run, usage history, right? Startup. Okay, this is what I really want to get into, is knowing, it's like, I don't know what this CCX, I don't want to kill this because I'm not sure what it is. No, I already disabled it. Okay, all right. So if you look here, I've gone to Task Manager, and then I go to Startup, the Startup tab, and I hit Status, and I'm interested in what's enabled. Now notice I've had some installations like this crap. Cortana, Microsoft OneDrive is constantly pestering me. Skype. It's like, if I want Skype, I'm going to run Skype when I'm dang well ready to run it. I don't want to have 10 Microsoft things that have to start every time I turn on my computer, right? So I went down, I disabled all these. Another annoying thing is like Steam updates. Every single time I reboot my computer, I've got to run a Steam update. And it takes a long time. So I disabled all those things. WebEx installation, This I need to remove. I was testing a VNC console server, and the performance was too awful. So I didn't take the time to actually go to add and remove programs and remove the Type VNC server, but I've disabled it so it doesn't run on startup. Now, these are things down the list that I want to keep updated. Actually, Messenger, no. This is a new thing. Messenger kind of finagled its way into installing. It's like I had Messenger running in Facebook, in the Facebook interface, right? And they somehow kind of tricked me or figured out how to get me to agree to install it as an independent application. And when it did, they dang well took the liberty of putting it in the startup. And so it starts when I'm turning on my computer or rebooting my computer, I'm in a hurry usually. And I don't want this thing to start up every time. And so, yeah, disable. Okay, so it's saying it's, yeah, I've got it enabled, so it should be right now. Okay. So you can go down through all these things and disable them if they're causing your computer to start up horribly slowly. And also in here, if you've locked up an application, it's like I've been playing with throttling Opera GX. And because I'm like doing a class, I like backed off from that because it was really making the throttling down to 2 gigs was making Opera have trouble. So right now you can see, I really don't like this, but it's kind of the norm. They say that 2 gigs is a threshold for a browser. And if you go below 2 gigs, you're going to experience performance degradation, which I hate that, but that's kind of the new reality, unfortunately. And I'm still working with the idea of trying to, keep my browser, I don't like my browser having the power to shut my system down, which is essentially if it has too much power, power to do that, it can take too much CPU. So I could be giving a class or I could be doing something like that. And the browser could take I have to answer my wife for a second. Hold on just a second. Okay, I want to just go back to this one more time. I'm going to bring this up here. I'm going to need to magnify this because otherwise you're not going to be able to see it. All right. So on Opera GX, there's a thing up there at the top called the GX control. You see that? And when you open the GX control, right, you've got things like the hot tabs killer, slash tabs that steal your resources, right? So look, you can see Google Meet's got the most right now. These are it's storing all my tabs, and it's I can switch it to RAM and see the RAM that's being used by tabs. Right? Now we're operating in a world where a tab is actually like a software application like Sandbox that's, really. Can you remember when it was unthinkable to even think that your computer could even have this much physical memory, right? And now every single browser tab has that much or more, right? It's crazy. All right, so I've got a network limiter, right? So here's a thing. If I'm in Opera GX, I can say,
your 15-minute warning just popped up.
Yeah, that's what I was looking. I can say I can limit my say I'm torrenting, I'm downloading on BitTorrents or whatever like that. I could say, well, I could throttle it here because I want to, while I'm doing something else, I want to be able to put a choke on that. And I haven't done this thing. Usually I don't throttle my upload speed, but I dang sure am interested in that. And one of the reasons I am interested in it is because when you install Windows, essentially Windows is running some things that allow Microsoft, whenever they want to get extravagant with what they upload, right? And I really don't like that. Okay, so you have a RAM limiter, and you can if you turn this on, right, and set the here. Can I pull this? I don't think I can. Oh yeah, hard limit in gigabytes. The default is 2 gigabytes, and it's saying, okay, warning, if you turn on the RAM limiter, low RAM limit, your browser speed might be affected, right? So right now I haven't settled. I want to use this, but I haven't settled on what's going to work for me. I did have it set like this, and it was too much throttling for what I needed. Okay, now below that, you've got a CPU limiter, and you can also set how much CPU GX can use, right? You know, I really don't want a web page. Like it's like I've got Google News or whatever. Trump scratches butt, has ingrown hair. You know, I don't want that. I don't want that shutting down my machine when I'm trying to work, right? Yeah, we don't need that. The browser doing that, some stupid web page doing that. So this is how you use it. And I personally, one of the reasons I installed the Opera GX is because of this feature, but I haven't settled on exactly what is going to work for me in terms of setting it up. It's sort of, in other words, when I was I tried 2 gig limits, and I've tried the CPU limiter, and then when I was giving a class, it didn't work how I needed it to. So, but I'm the worst about not closing things that I should close. Oh, that's great. Stream on Twitch. That's an old code, so you can't use it. All right. Mech Arena Weapon Spotlight video. I never got around to watching it. So really, I shouldn't have all these tabs open all the time. I really shouldn't do it, but I do it. And what you should do, if you have something you're going back to all the time, is bookmark it and go to the bookmark. So we got 2 things on the horizon, and that is the Blender setup and Unity Hub setup. I'm gonna dive in to Unity Hub, make a note of it. And this is not the download page. Let's see. Okay. So I should search for download Unity Hub. Download. Download for Windows. All right. And there is my Unity setup thing. Download it. Have we lost Barry? I don't know.
He's still listed there. He's muted.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, Barry, you've got OBS Studio, right? Yeah, he does. He's got OBS, but Barry, have you got Virtual Magic Mirror and Vroid Studio? It's okay if you don't, but I would like you to try to get those. For a number of reasons. They're useful in introducing in a simple sort of way things that are relevant to more complex game development issues. Let's see if this thing is ready yet. Doom, 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 doom. Tell me, Barry. Tell me, Barry. Virtual Magic Mirror. And I know you can't see that, but it's like 25 megs a second. That's what it's getting. Wow. Love it. It needs to be a gigabyte a second. That's what I need. Okay, I hit download for Windows on this thing, and it picked up. You can see in the title. Well, if you have a 64-bit system, which I think everybody does, that it picked it up as it detected that I needed Unity 64. So I'm gonna hit that and see if I can get an installation in short order. And it may be that, oh, hold on a minute. I've got to check with my wife. Oh boy. I don't know what it is, but it's like ironic humor. I guess, growing up with Mad Magazine and everything like that, because my wife said, get me more paper toilet, and I was like, a paper toilet? I've never heard of such a thing. She's a little bit mad because I'm a smart aleck. But anyway.
That's funny.
Yeah. I thought it was funny too. Barry thought it was funny. Dear. Did you hear her? She's like, shut your mouth. That's what it's like, on Mech Arena, It's like when somebody, Barry, you know, when somebody attacks you and they've got, you know, they've got Neymar Jr. with all these Arctorrent implants jacked up to the max. They got two, you know, giant Arctorrents, and they got this $75 surge, you know, and they jump up on your MD and you blast them and they blow to smithereens. That's funny, right? But what's really funny is when they do that and then they send that little angry, pissed off emoji. And I always, when I crack up on stream about that, I'm like, yeah, I guess you would be mad, you know, if you spent $100 and something to have this invincible robot and you attack this little MD and he destroyed you, pissed off and stuff. But I was like, please don't send that emoji because I'm just gonna die laughing. And that, yeah. Sometimes people really are mad. Like, sorry, man. Gee, you know, I'm sorry. I thought you were trying to kill me. All right, so let's see if the Unity installer is floating around somewhere, hidden from view. Oh, here we go. Yeah. All right, so my big goal, let's see, am I going to make it? We have just a few more minutes, is to see if I can show on the stream a Unity Hub installation procedure. So we downloaded the 64-bit. We're like unity.com/download or whatever. And then we get this. You can see clearly, right? And then we're going to hit next. Please review the license terms before installing Unity. Yeah, man. I had George Bush Jr. I know what a signing statement is. I accept the terms of the license agreement. I do not. My signing statement is like, I was forced to do this against my will, so I don't accept the terms or whatever. Actus mea veto factus, non est meus actus. The act performed by me against my will is not my act. All right, so when I make, you know, $100,000 on Unity or whatever by making a game or whatever, then we can talk about agreements. But when I'm sitting here as an unpaid promulgator of your application, yeah, I don't agree to anything. Especially if I don't have time to read it. I really don't have time. Could you imagine reading all the agreements of every piece of software that you install? Impossible. All right, so where's it going? We look at our path here. Program files, Unity 2022.3.7 F1. And this may be going into a different directory. Actually, I'm not sure if I have Unity on this machine or not. But I like that this is identifying more details about what the date is and the version is of this installer on the installation folder, because that's impacting me. Wow, look how fast that is. Okay, so yeah, it's putting in. Well, actually, it said it was installing the virtual C++ libraries or something like that. And I thought it was going to hang on that, but I think what it did is it went to go install the libraries and they were already there. And so now it's doing the executables. So when it's done, we should be ready to go with Unity. And just to, while that's running, what I'm going to do over here is going to go here and type download Blender. Oh. All right, so my Google Meet actually ended, And so that brings us to the end of the class. I was gonna go. I was like, if there was any time left, I was gonna do a demo of the Blender installation. But just before I shut down the stream, I'm gonna go back over what we did so far in this class. We learned about OBS overlays and the layouts and stuff. We learned about virtual avatars. In particular, we focused on Virtual Magic Mirror and using Vroid files from Vroid Studio. We did portables installations for utilities that are commonly needed, like 7-zip and WinRare and bulk file renamer and all these kind of actually, what I'd like to do is bring up my portables folder so you can see. Well, no, I'm gonna make a list and show, because it's gonna be confusing, the portables folder, because it has a bunch of PAF files in it. A PAF file, PAF file, is a portable application folder, exe, blah blah blah, whatever. And yeah, so we set up the portables. We install a virtual machine. We put Windows. You have fresh installation of Windows on a virtual machine, and actually did Unreal Engine installation, we now are doing the installation of the Unity Hub and Blender. And having gotten all that stuff together, we're going to be in a really good position to game development in a bunch of different directions. Also, I introduced Stream Elements and Own 3D and Canva, and how to different ways to do overlays and stuff in different formats. So thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you again next time. And until then, adios.